Hello and welcome back to the definitive Starship review series without access to a proper table. I hit that table really hard because, as you can see, I'm wearing my special white gloves for special models that have something I particularly don't want to touch. In this case, the plasticky clear thing. I'm gonna call it glass for this review because I know I'll slip up, but it's technically not glass. It is, as you can probably hear, a transparent plastic, but it's nice enough I don't want to smudge up with my fingerprints. So before we get a look into this, very interesting model rather, for a few reasons, I do have to say that I am part of the Eaglemoss affiliate program, which means if you choose to purchase this model because of this video, there's a link in the description. That is an affiliate link, which means I will get a 7% commission on the model if you choose to buy it through that link. I'm allowed to say whatever the heck I want about these ships, however, just know there is a monetary incentive for me to tell you to go buy this ship, so keep that in mind as you hear my reviews. So yes, as always, before getting into proper close looks and everything like that, we've got to do our size comparison, and I'm realizing that might be quite difficult. Hopefully you can see here. I'm actually trying to demonstrate the width, these little, I don't know what you'd call them, antenna coming off of the model. The sort of distance, the square they make at the end, is roughly the same size as the ring on the Enterprise XCV-330. So just kind of trying to highlight how square it is. Looking at the back, actually, you can probably see it a lot better. This model does have a very big volume that it fills up. However, if you want to talk length, and I am including the antennas in the length, the Sona Collector ship is a really good estimate for about how long it is. So think this length with the XCV's volume from the front. The XCV is a bit longer than the landing craft, but the Sona craft is a good example of length. Meanwhile, over on the Discovery ship, the stealth ship of Section 31 is a great length comparison. And actually, as I was going through, this, surprisingly for how large it feels because of the volume, isn't actually the longest of models. It's very firmly in the Discovery size range. I mean, lengthwise. There are a few things longer than it, like the Brawn was, but it's very firmly justifies that Discovery length. In fact, maybe exceeds it in pure volume. But I did find that interesting, that its tip-to-tip length was actually on par with Discovery, I would say. Finally, over on the Universe collection, if I can get it, oh, there we go, that looks nice. The Wallenberg-class tug is a very good example of the tip-to-tip length. In fact, I think the Wallenberg may be a few millimeters longer, but it's super close. Yeah, so the landing pod. I'm mostly reviewing this because of this very interesting glass feature. Can't remember if it's the first Discovery model to use this type of transparency plastic, but it's certainly the one that uses it the most and to the greatest effect. I do want to highlight the stand real quickly, though. You rarely see the backs of these models, but this stand is quite weird. It definitely holds the model surprisingly well, and there's not a lot of leaning, tilting forward, even though it's holding it from the back, so well behind the center of mass. It is going to hide this engine detail. I mean, you can see through it pretty well. It is glass, but, it is blocking that rear view. So if you're someone who's planning on displaying the model, maybe in a more 3D, 360 environment rather, just be aware of that. However, it's actually surprisingly doesn't cover as much. These sides are identical to the top, but looking at it, I thought it would block the model a lot more, but you never notice it. I mean, the stand, as you can see here, is almost entirely blocked by the model, and I could probably find an angle here where, yeah, like there, you barely can see the actual stand at all. However, we are here to review starships, not models, so let's take a closer look. My film lighting might make this slightly difficult. There we go, it's a bit darker, but this is gonna make it better. As you can see, underneath this plasticky glass dome, which does have some nice indented, I don't know what you'd call this, but the etching, silvery, slight gunmetal, or at the very least metallic finish. It is rather hard to say. You do have a fully sculpted pilot's chair in there. Blue, as it was in the show, and very highly detailed. I know the glare from my lights might be hiding some of that, but the plastic itself is also, it does have a little bit of a fog or maybe glass effect. I'm not sure exactly what you would call it. So it does, it's actually a little clearer on the camera looking at it than it is in person, but you can definitely focus it in there. I almost say that that was kind of designed to hide some maybe flaws where, I don't know if you've ever seen in the TNG intro where they have all the people walking by the window. If you ever see the actual visual effects for that without the ship, like, it's absolute garbage. It looks like cardboard. They're barely even people, they're blobs. And often you'd kind of have tinted glass like that to hide detail. But honestly, this model does not need it. They could have gone with fully clear glass if they wanted, and as you can see on the camera, it is a lot brighter in these specific conditions. But I can very clearly see that chair has got all little etches, very detailed sculpts, even down, especially if you look at the leg piece. It's got some quite small parts, quite fine detailing. That's impressive. And even on the back there, you can kind of see the stuff that's holding the chair in place, and the very metallic, and I think there's even, yes, a tiny bit of detailing, like circles and stuff etched into that black piece. There, you can kind of see on the left being picked up by the camera. But yes, phenomenal work on that chair and that interior, which really is all that this model is about. I mean, that's the big thing. So as I relight the model, that is the main selling point. If you're here to wonder, like, how good is this glass? How good is this inside bit? Amazing. However, the outside of the model actually does have quite a bit to offer. As you can see, it's a smaller ship, so there's not a whole lot of greeblies and stuff. A ship, isn't not the model, but the actual ship from the show. However, they have added tons of the dings, is classic for Discovery ships, and they have gone in and etched this pattern, the panel work, as I tend to call it, little details like the triangle bits, and they've definitely captured what I would imagine is all the detail on the ships. And there's even bits where I wouldn't expect detail, like where these things are supposed to fold down. They do not actually move, they are locked in this position, but as you can see, there's kind of a blue line, there's some random bumps, greeblies, and panel work all in there, even down to the back, that where, like, you probably would never see. It is a very detailed model. As for these stripes themselves, these antennae, I do get a little bit concerned that, they kind of will get caught on something and snap off. These models, they just kind of sit somewhere stationary, but every time I handle it, I am a bit worried, especially because I normally don't wear gloves and don't want to touch the glass a bit. But as you can see, they are quite elastic. I don't want to push them to the breaking point, but they do have a bit of give. And it's a hard plastic where you're gonna probably struggle to bend things into place. They actually all came pretty straight. I believe one of them was a little off, not too much to notice. As you can see, this one is a little bit bending outward. These both now actually have a tendency to curl outward. I don't know if that's my mishandling of the model, or I didn't quite notice the bend that one of them had. These bottom ones are a lot better, which is actually surprising, because you'd think they would be the ones that bump into the table and actually get bent more. So if, I don't know, you play with the models a lot, you fly them around, maybe you got real little kids, there might be a fragility problem, and I imagine these pieces wouldn't be the easiest to glue back on. Although I have had to repair a Bajoran solar sailor before, and that can't be, this can't be much harder than that. But yeah, if you're someone who does a bit more with the models, maybe you would be wary of that fragility work. But if you're just sitting it on a shelf like most people, you should be fine. I will say, I don't see how they could have made them sturdier. These are kind of inherently flimsy, thin pieces with a small connection point. So they're about as sturdy as they could be, I would say. Feeling around, this engine bit, we'll call it, does feel to be metal, but I believe everything else is plastic, which really is fine. Obviously the dome has to be plastic, and I don't know what the cost is and all the detailing. If the plastic is an expensive material, and so maybe they couldn't afford metal, but I don't think it needs metal. It's definitely got probably the weight it should, especially to attach to this stand, and actually that probably helps the center of mass be maybe more around here, so it sits on the stand better. You don't have the same problem as the Nebula class, which bends. But yeah, the materials are quite good. There's also, as you can see, actually a gap between the ball and these arms. On all the sides, it's only attached for this metal bit, which my gloves, you might have seen, have been getting caught on. But that is a nice little detail, that they even have panel work. And I'm not sure if I can get it on camera, but I swear there's even ridges in between those big bumps. There, I think you can kind of see them with my thumb. And actually, you can see them through the glass pretty good. I don't know if I can get my camera to focus on that. That might be the best I can do. But yeah, as I said, a lot of detailing. But going back to the engine work, to further kind of talk about the detailing, you can see there's a whole lot of grooves, bumps, lines, weathering, a little bit of blue paint for, I suppose you wouldn't call them nacelles, maybe impulse engines. But it's a very mechanical, early Discovery looking, almost turbine looking with these little grates, I guess you'd call them. Looks like they even have some circle detailing. I don't think I can shine the line on there, but little dots poking in between all of these grates. But yeah, very nicely done engine bit. So yeah, if you have any interest in this Discopod model, the landing pod, I'd say you would not be disappointed. There's also even, on the front here, you can see sign of copper painting, with a little bit of a metallic-y shine finish to it. And yeah, there's also just pretty nicely detailed with the wiring mechanical bits in there, and then the red lights, headlights maybe I guess you'd call them, or warning paint. But very nicely done. Of course, the landing pod does have one huge flaw in that God knows how you intend to land this landing pod. It's on the antenna? Like, yeah, this model, that's gonna push out. Is that how it's supposed to land? How do you get out? Like, in fact, how do you even get into this landing pod looking at it? It doesn't have a door. Like, you know, if you called it work bee even, it's not a work bee, but survey craft, like in the show, they don't land it, they fly it through some asteroids. I never really got that. But as a design, you know, poorly named, but a well-executed ship for a design that, I mean, it's big, it's well executed, very detailed, so yes, I would definitely say if you're considering this model, you will not be disappointed. It gets the good old Tom Paris thumbs up. Dang it, you're in the way, XCV. Tom Paris thumbs up. So yeah, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions about this model, just ask me in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. If you'd like me to review a specific model, just let me know. Again, ask in the comments. I have a little over half of all of Eaglemoss's ships, including the entire Discovery collection, so I will get around to it as soon as I can if I own the model. I hope you enjoyed, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time!